Hello, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the event so far. We're going to get back to the Friendly Fire tournament in just a moment. But right now, we have another GamePad Online interview. So we've been talking to people from the games industry about their journeys and about the work they do. And today, or right now, I'm speaking with Jehanne Rousseau, the CEO of the video game studio Spiders. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm very happy to be with you, and hello to everyone.
Cool. No, thanks for joining us. Before we get into the questions, just to let people know that you can send us your thoughts in the chat, and you can also join the Gamepad Discord, where you can continue the discussions, and we will also have an extended version of this interview in the Discord after the event. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Jehanne, you're a French games developer, and you've kind of like literally worked your way up the industry. So you've been a 2D graphic artist, you've been a writer, project manager, director, and you are now CEO. So you've kind of been at different levels. How have you found that journey? Like, how has it been for you?
Well, first it took some time. I mean, I began to work in this industry more than 20 years ago, so it was probably different back then than it is now. For example, there was no video game school existing. So I joined the industry, and well, a little, I would not say by mistake, but by chance in some ways.
Okay.
And I was doing some art, and then I had the occasion to work for a very small company that was just beginning. And then, I liked it. I was playing video games since my childhood, so I was very, very happy to work there. And I had the occasion to work as a producer and then to change into another game company. So it was more a journey than really something that I had planned for first.
Okay.
It was honestly a lot of luck, I think.
Yeah, I guess
to
there
be
always
honest.
is.
Yeah, probably. And when I met the team I'm working still actually, and with whom I created Spiders, it was, I would say, 15 years ago, in another game company called Monte Cristo. I was project manager of a small RPG on PC only that was called Silverfall, and we enjoyed that much working all together. Then we decided to create Spiders. So it was honestly a lot of hazardous situation of chance and nice mission. And this is something I really enjoy about the video game industry, that there are so many amazing people and in many different fields of expertise. Amazing, I would say, musician, artists, coders, and it's working with them that is for me one of the most interesting and exciting part of the job.
Cool. No, it sounds really cool. And like, say going all the way back, you say like, obviously you were into video games. What would you say is like the game that brought you into video games? Like what was the first game you remember playing, or that really kind of caught your attention?
I was lucky enough to have a console when I was very small. It was a console called ColecoVision. I don't know if you've ever heard about it. It's a very old device.
Okay.
And I was playing Donkey Kong, the very first one, cool. With the guy running, and you had to jump to avoid, these barrels thrown by the monkey. So, this was my really first video game. And then I had some, more evolved devices. I had other consoles. I also had an Amstrad computer. So I never quit playing. So, I was lucky enough to see a lot of different games. But I think that the first contact with this Donkey Kong game was for me something very important. It was a discovery that was amazing.
Yeah. Okay. And out of interest, have you kept any of your old consoles, or are they?
It's still working, but I let it go. He has the kind of geek cafe in Paris where you can play all games. So I let it to the cafe so other people can enjoy the game and try these old games there. So
okay,
but it's still working.
Yeah, it's somewhere. It's still around. Cool. So I understand that you've got a passion for imaginary universes as well as video games, obviously. So with that interest in like science fiction, how have you brought that to the games that you've been a part of and developed?
Well, in fact, I'm not only playing video games. I'm also a player of pen and papers RPGs. So the traditional, D&Ds and all this type of games, Cthulhu and many other types of games like that. I used to write scenarios for that too, not on a professional aspect, but just for friends. I was a game master, and I think it was the beginning of my passion for writing stories and creating a universe was at first mostly dedicated to pen and paper RPGs. And then when I had the luck to realize the same type of things for video games, I was obviously playing some RPGs also on computer. I was, the old Baldur's Gates and all this type of games. So it was a kind of dream for me to be able to work on that type of games. But at the beginning of my career, it was not possible. The company I was working for were more doing some small games on, for handheld consoles or mobile. So not the type of platform back then where you could play RPGs.
Yeah.
But then when I joined Monte Cristo, I was able to create the first universe I did for video games. It was a fantasy universe, more steampunk, inspired in some ways. But I always had, as a goal to work on sci-fi stuff. And it was not easy because publishers were not sure that sci-fi could work out of the usual Star Wars settings. So it was very difficult to find a publisher for something else than, this type of world. So we took some time to convince them that what we create for Mars was something valuable. But in the end, they believed in it, and we managed to sell the game. And we create 2 games in this world.
Cool. I mean, the idea that science fiction is hard to sell, like now, it sounds weird because it's all around. But okay, and so from that, from that first initial role working on your first game. To now, as I mentioned, you have your own studio, and how have you found your role in games changing now versus when you started? Like, are you doing different tasks? Like, how have you found your place in that development cycle?
I think that. Well, of course, when I began, I was mostly doing 2D art. It was pixel art, in fact, of course. Back then, I was working on Game Boy and Game Boy Colors games, so it was some very small designs, and it was interesting and funny because it was a small team and very young team. We were so excited to work inside games that we were working a lot. Crunch mode was not even a word back then, but we were working all day, all night long from time to time. It was a very different time. And even if I enjoyed it, of course, I would not have stayed, I suppose, if it wasn't the case. But,
that's true.
But I was probably a little frustrated just to work on licensed stuff because most of the Game Boy games was based on licensed stuff, based on movies or animations, type of things, and it was not that creative. So I felt, a little frustrated, and I wanted to move into more creative projects. And it took some time to finally be able to join a company where I could be part of the creation of the game. And I was also writing a lot since it's nearly my, I would say, childhood.
Yeah.
I was writing about stories, and it was also something that I wanted to do in video games. And
were you writing specifically video game stories, or just writing stories in general, like books?
When I was younger, I was writing some novels mostly.
Okay.
I wanted to become a comic books scenario writer when I was really a teenager, of course. But then I discovered how to write for game, and it's a completely different exercise. And I love it, really. It's something that is completely unique and specific to the game, because you have to work with other people, you have to integrate all the gameplay aspects, to think about what will the player do inside the game. And you're not writing about yourself, but you have to write for the others and really to include them into that experience. And it's something that I find really, different and exciting. You really try to think of others, and even if we maybe not always succeed, it's something that I find, unique to the video game, and that's really one thing that I really like. The other point is that you can create some amazing universe that could not probably be seen into movies or things like that. You can really make other people experience some completely crazy stuff or completely crazy worlds, and not only discovering from the outside, like when you're reading a book, but really be part of it. So it's something that I wanted to do back then, and I'm still wanting to do, and I'm trying to improve the mechanism of our games for that to work better, to be more, complex or reactive to the player's decision.
Yeah.
And just honestly, to be able to do that, I think that I had no choice than creating my own studio with the people I knew would have the same, idea of video games. And by working with them, we managed slowly, because at first we had no money to do all these games. We were indies, we had no investments. It was a lot about, doing some technical missions to take a little money from other stuff, and then being able to our first game, which was a very small thing designed for kids. And, bit by bit, we managed to do some bigger and more complex game, but we took the long road for that. I'm not regretting it, but because it was interesting and we learned a lot.
Yeah, it's part of the journey.
Yeah, exactly. I think that we do, honestly, our work, but ourselves too, became better through this journey also. Not only as writers, but really as game creators.
Yeah, and I do like that aspect of like writing and creating stories, like for video games. I write comics, I write manga comics, but what I like about sort of, I guess, narrative design is you're having to take into account the player experience and the player actions, and that's like a whole other level on top of just the story that you want to tell. It's like, how does it make the player feel? What do you want them to feel at what point, and how are they going to interact with your story? So yeah, that's a cool kind of thing that you get to do. And like, so you mentioned working on licensed properties, which wasn't as creative, and it kind of forced you to make your own studio. So you eventually made your own studio called Spiders. And my first question is, where did that name come from? Why the name Spiders?
It's a mix of different things. We wanted to have an English name, of course, for even if we are French, for a more international understanding of who we were.
Right.
But we were thinking first about something that was about craft. So we think about a lot of different names, and most of them were already taken, so it was a problem.
Yeah.
So, and thinking about waving things, waving stories, waving universe. And from that point, the idea of the spiders came out. And to be honest, as the first universe we created in the company, and we created even before the company really exists, was set on Mars. it was also a kind of, I would say, homage. I don't know if the word is the right word in English, but kind of a way of respect to David Bowie, a first group, which was called Spiders on Mars. And
I did not expect that.
Meaning,
the
spider.
Okay, all right. I didn't expect that. I wasn't sure if it's like someone had a fear of spiders and you wanted to confront that fear, or it was some other meaning. But cool. So then, as like CEO of the company, you're in a position to, I guess, bring people on the team, to essentially hire people to be part of this thing that you're creating. And so I work with sort of a lot of young people, and some of which, want to be in the video games industry, some of which are probably watching right now. So as someone in the position, I guess you must have done a few like interviews. What kind of advice can you give to young people who are possibly going to be in the position of having to interview for a job? Like, what have you seen that goes well in your estimation?
I would say that first, do video games. I mean, these are interesting and can bring you a lot of important and interesting points of view and elements. But, for example, doing some game jams or doing some small projects with other teammates or this type of things is in fact more important to me than just knowing that you've done some an amazing school, for example. I think that's really being able to show your own work, your own creation, even if it's a very small game or just a mod for another game. It's far more important to understand how it works in a team, to be able to work with other people, than just having learned plenty of things at school. Because in the end, I think that teamwork is what makes good video games.
Yeah.
And it's not something that is always learned or easily learned at school. So I would suggest to work with teams that you can meet in different events. I would also recommend to analyze the game you're playing, your favorite games, to spend some time thinking into why you love this game, why you really enjoy this part of the gameplay, but also try to find the mistakes in the game, to what could be improved, because it's something that is asked a lot during interviews. We really always asked, what is your favorite game? What are you liking more in that game, or what would you change if you want to improve it? And this is really always something that we are asking, just to know if you are a real player, and of course if you have thought a little far after the fact that, okay, you enjoy that game, but why? And what is really good inside the game?
Yeah.
This is exactly the type of question we can ask. So it's better to think about it before just coming to the interview, of course.
Cool.
It can be helpful. And honestly, apart of that, if you are really into video games, it can be really hard. I would also suggest not to accept a terrible salary, or not to accept crunch. It's not normal to work into these conditions. If it's, of course, not to accept any bullying or any type of behavior like that. We have to be respectful to each other in the industry. It's not because it's a job of passion that you have to endure terrible situation. It should never happen. And if it happens in the company you are in, and if you talk about it, it's not changing, remember that it's not the video game industry that is at fault here. It's only one company, and you can always leave and find a better one. And it happened to me during my career to be in some company where I felt I was not, at the right place. And for a while, I was so disgusted that I stopped working in the video game industry for nearly 2 years.
Oh.
And that moment, I really thought that I would never work again for the video game. And I liked games. I like to create. The problem was just one bad habit, and it can completely ruin your experience if you to that bad experience.
Yeah.
So, the people and don't stay in a bad situation because it's not what it should be. Remember that there are plenty of other companies around, and if one is not a good word for you, there will probably be others that will be so happy to welcome you. So don't endure and suffer because of your passion. Your passion should be something that is positive and not a source of suffering. So, yeah, I know it sounds a little, too gentle or too. I really know. But I've seen so many good and amazing creative people that was discussed by the industry, and I want that to stop. And so I think that the first thing you really have to keep in mind when you join a company is if it's not a good one, leave and find another one, a better one that will welcome you.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. I think, like you say, it's like when things need to change, the only way they change is if you say something, really. So, and yeah, I think for the young people kind of listening in terms of like interview, definitely good advice on that. So, yeah, please keep that in mind. Cool. All right. So then, like, you talked a bit about like your path in the industry, and you talked a bit about school and the role of school. So I'm just interested to know if you can touch on like how or what role did your education play in your career? So did you specifically study things with subjects related to video games, or was it something you sort of self-taught? Like, how did that play out?
There was no specific studies back then in video games, and I did not study for long, to be honest. I did 2 years in Latin and Greek school, so it was in La Sorbonne in Paris. So it was mostly about ancient languages and but also French, classical literature, this type of things.
Yeah.
And then I moved to an art school for 1 year, but I realized that I was not, some very interesting studies. I liked it, but it was only leading mostly to become a teacher, and that was not something I wanted to do. So I stopped, and I tried to find a job directly, just because I was already designing a lot on my computer at home. I was already doing some arts at home, so this is how I joined, to be honest. And there was no perfect way to join the industry, I think, back then. 22 years ago, there was no specific way to join the industry, because as there were no specific tool, it was just, mostly it was by luck, or if you were, you had the occasion to know some people into the industry. Things changed a lot now, because there are these schools in different specialties, and of course companies are now more known, I think, and it's really completely different. In a good way, I mean, because well, not that it was bad, but it was very, very different. But I think it's in a good way because there are more companies, more choices, and of course the industry is more diverse now than it was back then.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I mean, I think it's good to kind of highlight that there are different routes in, because sometimes you still have the narrative here that, there's certain steps to take, and if you don't take the steps, or if you miss out the steps, then it's done forever, which is not at all the case. So yeah, I think it's good for you to highlight that there's no traditional way in, really. There are more routes now, but if one doesn't work, you can find another, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I really do believe that. For example, we have a lot of artists in the studio that not do some specific, hard school or anything, but their portfolio, their art was so amazing that welcome. We were very happy to have them in the team. So it's not always something about school or about the previous experience. I think that the more diverse team is, and I'm not talking only about the look of the person, but each experience is unique and can bring some very unique point of view to the team, and bring some richness to it. So this is what I'm waiting for now.
Cool. Okay.
The company.
Yeah.
That we have created. I'm sorry if I have just. We are actually creating with an association in France. I don't know the name in English that word. We are paying for the schools. Most of the video game schools in France are private, so they are costing a lot of money. And we created this association to pay for the studies of young students that could not afford this type of studies.
Like a scholarship.
To make some, more diverse people to join the industry.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, that's really good. Nice. And then sort of coming back to sort of your company now, Spiders. You've got your own game engine, and which is called the Silk Engine. I'm just interested to know why you've gone the path of creating your own engine rather than licensing an existing engine, like everyone uses the Unreal Engine. Why have you gone and created your own?
Well, when we created the company, Unreal Engine was very expensive. It was 12 years ago. Sorry, so 12 years ago, Unreal was still expensive. Unity was not really good, to be honest. It was the very beginning, and it was not completely working most of all on console. And we really wanted to work on it was the PS3 back then. We had some very good developers in the team, some very good programmers. And they were also excited at the idea of creating an engine. So it happens because of that, because we had no money and because we had the person in the team that could do it.
Right.
And of course, this engine evolved a lot. If you're looking what we were able to do 12 years ago, you would be horrified. But it evolved a lot, and we also create some very specific tools designed for creating our games, so RPGs. We create, for example, tools to write some multi-branching dialogues. So we also create some tools to create some cutscenes, for example. So a lot of editing tools that are really designed to support RPGs. And now, if we had to move to a more commercial engine, we would have to create again all these tools. It would be, it would take a very, very long time. Yeah. So in the end, it's more interesting for us to stick to this engine, to make it evolve, to improve it as much as we can. Even if we know that it's not probably as technically perfect as can be Unreal, for example, it's more dedicated to the type of games we're doing.
Yeah.
So in some way, it's more useful to our work.
Yeah, for you and your type of games. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I was interested in that just because. So I make comics now, and we have a video game event. But before that, I used to work as a software engineer, not in video games, but so I know what it means to create your own engine from scratch, your own framework and everything, and how much work is involved in that. So I'm just interested to know why. But it makes sense, I guess, because you've got within your studio, you've got a particular type of game that you make. So it makes sense to craft something that helps you make the best games that you can. But yeah, I know it's a lot of work. So,
and it took a long time what we have now, because even not only the engine, but the tool set completely evolved and is lots different than what we had at the very beginning.
Yeah. Okay. And so I just want to sort of wrap up the interview just by speaking about, I guess, the industry as a whole from your perspective. And I know in the UK games industry recently did a census looking at sort of different aspects of diversity in the video games industry. And the numbers weren't good, but basically, I mean, like you said, it's improved, and I'm sure it has, but they weren't good numbers. So I'm just thinking, like, from your perspective, as a female games developer, like, how have you seen representation change since you've been in the industry, and like, what do you feel still needs to change going forward, just to make games a bit more representative of the people that play them?
Oh, there is still a very long road, honestly, to be able to reach some, I would, as diverse as our players are, teams. When I began, I was, and for a long time, the only girl in the team. But yeah, it was more than 20 years ago. I knew some other girl working in the video game industry, but were really, really, really few of us. And in France, at least, I can't speak for other countries.
Yeah,
but
I'll speak for the UK. There's very few still. Yeah.
And honestly, most of the, not most, all the team was white. And yeah, it changed a lot through the years. I mean, we are still far from what I really like to have on many different aspects. As I told you when we were talking about this association we are creating, and this is the reason we have created this association. The idea was because, in fact, when we are recruiting people, most of the letters we're receiving are coming from people that are really all looking the same and that have really all the same background. So they are, coming from a wealthy family enough to pay these schools that are, highly expensive. So, we also want to have a more socially diverse people coming to the video game development. And one of the way to do that was helping people to reach this school and to be able to do their study there and to reach the video game industry in the end. So we thought that by doing that we could continue the improvement of the industry. But yeah, there are still not enough female developers, not enough black developers, not enough, I would say, even Asian developers, at least in France. So there's still a lot to do. Changed. It's really slowly improving, but we have to work for it as game developers and as as the industry itself. And to do that, I think that we have to help people to reach the industry. And one of the solutions we found was by paying for school, but they may have other ideas. I'm completely open to discuss about that and to help in any way I can. But it's honestly we still have a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
to have a difference in the industry, definitely.
No, I hear that, and I think sort of here in the UK, sort of we're working on ways that we can get young people from more diverse backgrounds to just be, I mean, first of all, just be aware that they can have careers in the gaming industry, and then sort of help them find routes towards that and working with other organizations that can do that. Because I feel, I mean, at the end of the day, like video games very much now are like stories. So you're essentially telling a story, and the best stories are, or the best kind of stories are ones that take you out of your own perspective and put you in another. So I guess the more we can do that, the better. But that only happens if you're getting more people with different perspectives to make the game. So yeah, I think it's a necessary thing. And like you say, just it still needs some work. But it sounds like you're doing a lot of good work. And I guess just to wrap up, just let people know where they can find you and your games, like online, website, social media.
Yeah, I should probably send you the links and connection if you want. Yes. It will be easier because I'm on Twitter. I'm not often on Twitter, so please don't produce against me because I'm not answering fast. Because obviously I haven't time enough to spend too much time on Twitter, but I'm also on Facebook. Cool. But I'm trying to answer as much as I can. And of course, there is also the website of the company, but and the website of the association we're working on for this help these students. I think that's something that is important. Is as I told it a little before, that you will always hear people say that you're not welcome or that you'll criticize the fact that the diversity and listen to these people. I mean, they are souls. We don't need them. The industry needs people that are diverse, that come with new ideas, with new stories, and this can only come from a very, very diverse, industry. And if you're bullied or anything, once again, please leave this guy, but don't leave the industry. I know that there are plenty of stories around that are absolutely terrible, and I feel terribly ashamed about the way some people were treated in the industry. But there will be always some other people that will welcome you and that will be so happy to work with new talents. And I think it's really something important to say, not only to, of course, young students, but also to some more seasoned people that have maybe left the industry. You can come back. You will find some very happy people to work with you. So please, don't be afraid of the video game industry. It can be frightening because there are always some haters around, but listen to them. Most of them don't really do video games in the end, so you're not obliged to listen to them.
Yeah. No, that's well said. Well said. So I mean that brings us to the end of the interview. Thank you very much, Jehanne, for joining us. It's been really good to hear about the work you do, especially coming from another country and seeing how things go in France. So thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for your time too, and goodbye everyone. I was really happy to speak to you. Cool. And stick to your passion. It's so important.
Definitely. Let us know what you think. You can join our Discord community and just give your feedback or any questions. If you want any information on places to go to get more. Take more steps into the games industry, let us know in the Discord. And if you have liked hearing my voice, we also have a podcast where I talk for a long time about storytelling across pop culture with my co-host Tazzy. That's the Story X Story podcast. It's audio only for the moment, but it is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all that. And we basically have guests on. We talk about video games, talk about anime, manga, comic book movies, and do interviews like the one we've just had. So our email address is gamepad@mayamada.com, and you can check out gamepad.events for more information about future Gamepad community activities. So until next time, take care, everyone.